Hello my dear learners, I am Dr. Devrat Bral. Today we are going to discuss media, marginality and mainstream culture. The learning outcomes of the modules are to discuss the concept of marginality and how media representation influences it, to analyze the role of the media in construction of the dominant groups and the other, to understand that how media is a potent instrument for creating a sense of reality and the factor that contribute to the construction of such mediated reality, to examine the role of media and its representation on the public opinion. This module has 4 parts. Let's begin with our first. Introduction. Media, marginality and representation. Marginality is a situation in which an individual is both an insider and an outsider. People in the lower echelon of the economic, social, cultural and political settings are referred to as marginal. However, the word marginality has been dominated by economic viewpoints, but geography, political, cultural and social context cannot be overlooked. These locations are very significant because they provide access to a variety of resources. As a result, understanding marginality in relational terms is required. It must be understood in relation to the center, where this term center refers to a collection of ideas, procedures, belief, system and resources. Understanding marginality in isolation will be incomprehensible. Marginality must be linked to the twin notion of dominant culture and subordinate culture. People in inferior position will strive to imitate the dominant group viewpoints in order to advance or modify their social status or position. These subordinate positions can also contribute to psychological marginalization. For example, color consciousness can lead to the marginalization of the African people. In a nutshell, marginality is a state in which an individual or a social group wants something but is denied access to it. Gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, socio-economic position and other factors can all be related with marginalization. Marginality can be addressed by fostering social justice, equity and inclusion. As a result, the media may play a significant role in either advancing the process or challenging the status quo. The media, with its language, visuals, and so on, may foster domination and othering. It can significantly impact marginality. So now let's go to the second module, that is media and the construction of other. The mainstream media primarily reflects and orients the middle class goals and ambition. The social construction of meaning and lifestyles of tribal, rural and indigenous group is usually either overlooked or exoticized. A lesser known component of the media's effect on society is the constructions and conformations of ideas. This can lead to a process of othering. The other in society are those who do not fit into the dominant group's identity. The media plays a critical role in re-establishing and defining the dominant group. To put in another way, whatever we know about our society or indeed the world in which we live, we know through mass media. The media has a significant impact on the formation of an opinion. Narration and portrayal in the media are highly subjective processes. The journalist filters news and visuals. These processes, if unreviewed, can initiate process of marginalization and othering. Othering by sexuality, that is media and homophobia. Most people nowadays have a heterosexual inclination. Since heterosexuality has become normalized, society has become heteronormalized. The media can help to break down this bias and be more inclusive. There are indeed fringe media groups that have contributed to sensitizing the mainstream population. However, the queer cause has been ignored by the mainstream media. The mainstream media has mostly portrayed and normalized heterosexuality in films, TVs and advertisement, regardless of the setting. So in this framework, what do you expect the greater society to become? This single heterosexual story has been running in the background for several plots and subplots. This heterosexual plot become a crucial factor of socialization. On the other hand, if the media displays another non-binary pair, it can have an influence on cognition and the social construction of meaning. Eventually, this will combat homophobia. Now let's go to the second example, media and the Oriental construction. One cannot comprehend the representation without first reviewing the dynamics of power. An aspiring group, exotic group, or marginalization may be encouraged by the portrayals in media. These portrayals have the power to both support and refute preconception. For example, the marginalization and exoticization of Eastern culture result from the way Western scholars have formed and portrayed the Orient. The commodification of ethnic and cultural difference can occur through popular media. This can lead to cultural othering of people of color and other ethnic groups from the global south. That is where we are. Additionally, media can provide certain biased narratives that either maintain or alter power relationships. Stereotypes are either reinforced or promoted by the media. So now let us discuss about the othering of ecological concerns. At times, media provides inaccurate representations of the cause, crisis, and effects of environmental concerns, including climate change. The scientific community have been stating their concerns about pollution, global warming, and preservation of biodiversity. But it never got that media visibility. But it wasn't until approximately 1990s when the move from a conventional to new media occurred that one began to see and hear experts talking, theorizing, and discussing various aspects of the environment. These media outlets encourage civic engagement and offer a forum for advocacy. But one cannot ignore the fact that ecological concerns were othered from the discussions on economic, social, and political rights. So now let us discuss about women as an insignificant other, that is sexism in media. In India, Bollywood has been promoting and normalizing teasing and stalking. Popular movie lines like "a girl no means yes" and the notion that stalking is a good way to win over a girl and is glorified in the movies and other media. Occasionally, such narratives in the media are consumed without questioning or critical thinking. They also believe that no implies yes. This setting marginalizes the concept of safety, which implies both physical and psychological safety. The concept of safety, honor, and opinion of women have largely been marginalized by the mainstream media. To put it very mildly, media has the power to normalize prejudice, which further marginalizes women. This in turn draws attention to and influences the power dynamics that operate inside a society, that is called patriarchy. Now let us discuss about mental health and stigma. Stigma is a Greek word that refers to the impression that is left on criminals and slaves for them to be identified. The media can contribute to the stigmatization of people with mental illness by reinforcing stereotypes and thereby leading to health inequalities. The conversation about normality, deviance, and otherness can be influenced by the media. However, one must recognize that the term stigma is a social construct. Though through their portrayal, the media can discreetly identify the categories that are valued. For example, physically able persons are shown as having greater functional worth over differently abled. When it comes to criminals, individuals with disabilities, elderly, etc., the media typically expresses warmth, pride, or contempt of various degree. More prejudice and rejections are often the possible outcomes of this stigma. Stigmatized groups use a variety of coping mechanisms such as rejecting the media representation, forging oppositional meaning, boycotting, and in the worst instance, cognitive blocking. But it has also to be stated that The user can also learn about the cause of stigma and strategies for overcoming it by using search engines, internet blogs, health columns, books, and other resources. Stereotypes can be refuted or reinforced by the media, which can lead to the discrimination or social inclusion. Negative perception can be reinforced through the representation of the LGBTQIA+ population and mental illness, ethnic and religious minorities. The consumer of media must be aware of the incomplete and unfavorable depiction by the media. It's not so much about the tale itself, but rather the telling of the story. I hope you are getting ideas and insights. Now let us go to the third section, that is the politics of representations, methodology, marginality, and media. Currently, media has grown powerful and omnipresent, having an impact on practically every aspect of human existence. The options for usage of media have multiplied as a result of digitalization. Although there are reasons to be optimistic about the rise of media and its ancillaries, however, one must recognize that there are obstacles and hazards if media content is not reviewed. As a result, one must distinguish between information and its presentation, that is, representation. Messages in media go via encoding and decoding procedures. The messages are coded by the media and the general audiences decodes them. As a result, material given by the media must be carefully scrutinized and analyzed, as news reporting, picture, messages, and so on might be biased, sexist, homophobic, colonial, racist, etc. Jurgen describes media as the potent instrument for creating a sense of reality. The fulfillment of democratic principles requires an independent media. However, the media may also exert manipulation by endorsing or stifling topics. Media messages are reproduced and understood by the audience. As a result, an examination of the media pedagogy and technique is required to see whether there is any selective inclusion or omission of concerns among other things. So let us begin with the first, the selective agenda. The media typically has very specific agendas. First, they are either in favor of government or seldom against it. Without a doubt, the government is a significant source of revenue generation through the promotion or advertisement of plans, programs, and policy. Furthermore, examining the ownership structure of media companies reveals that many of their board members are affiliated with one or more political parties. This leads to selective portrayal, questioning, and reporting. Second, the media's influence on legislature is also readily apparent when it examines speeches, directives, budgets, and other documents. By concentrating on the words or deeds of the politicians, the media may alter the balance of power. Thus, the media may affect policy. For instance, in the Nirbhaya case, the ongoing reporting of sexual assaults and the resulting civil society protest prompted changes in the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013, which increased the minimum sentences. It also amended the Juvenile Justice Act 2015, lowering the age at which violent crime must be tried as an adult, that is from 18 to 16. Additionally, the Nirbhaya Fund was founded with the purpose of ensuring women's safety through several initiatives. Now let's talk about gatekeeping and media ownership. In general, the term media gatekeeping refers to the practice of sharing and restricting access to knowledge and information through Twitter or Facebook. Quite recently, citing their own policies, Twitter deactivated the account of US President Donald Trump. On the other hand, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, his handle was immediately reinstated. Gatekeeping is therefore an interpretative action. The visibility of information is controlled and monitored via social media. For example, cookies are a kind of algorithm that continuously makes recommendations and suggestions based on your digital footprints. thus limiting and modifying our online experiences and generate a virtual information bubble. The understanding of opposing opinions may be limited by this gatekeeping. Naturally, gatekeeping measures are necessary to protect minors and others who are technically incompetent. But where does one draw the line? Or are we aware that we are to be placed and demarcated within segments? It is important to keep in mind that those in charge of information dissemination can offset marginalization by restricting the portrayal of particular viewpoints of groups. Now let's talk about media framing, language and narratives. In 2015, there were conflicts in Syria, Afghanistan and Iraq. In all, around 1 million migrants sought safety and protection in Europe. However, at the same time, the UK media developed the narrative of the detrimental effects that migrants may have on their infrastructure and economy by using phrases like swans of migrants, marauding migrants. However, the story took a dramatic turn on September 2nd, 2015, when a picture of an 3-year-old Syrian infant lying face down and motionless began to circulate. Yeah, it was a very popular picture. This picture set off shockwaves around the world. Although deaths during war is not a new phenomenon, it is impossible to overlook how specific media frames elicit a range of feelings and intensities. Now let's talk about another dimension that is called tokenism, performative diversity. One may see tokenism as a perfunctory gesture towards minorities. People of color need to be better represented in Hollywood and in international media. The absence of diversity in Hollywood casting was evident during the 2000s. The first 20 highest rated films in history on IMDb all have white male protagonists. Racial representation in Hollywood has gradually risen through films like Get Out, Crazy Rich Asians, and Black Panther. However, racial minorities can also be seen in offensively stereotyped television shows and movies. Black women are represented as loud and outspoken, whereas Asian characters are typically linked to martial arts. Therefore, it's important to distinguish between tokenism and true inclusion. The method of providing notional representation or appearances must be thus examined. Cultural norms, conduct, and decision-making processes can all be impacted by media content. For this reason, an evaluation of the media methodology, elements such as agenda, framing, gatekeeping, etc. should be part of an academic study. Hope the above section were interesting. Now let us go to the fourth section. So now let's go to our fourth section, that is called media and mainstream culture, mapping the status quo. Media can shape and reshape the prevailing culture as well as the power relationship among people and organizations. Ideological narratives can be presented by media in place of factual ones. Individuals and society both contribute to the construction of culture. The society itself is a source of cultural knowledge. Changes in the social environment can have an impact on the culture of a society. Culture has the ability to reorganize societal power structures. Now let's talk about an example that is called patriarchy and media. Two main elements that have hampered women's emancipation are sexism and patriarchy. Gender equality and women's involvement in employment, education, and other fields are also contested by it. The media may be a powerful tool for empowering women and shattering stereotypes. However, media may also be regressive and limit women's ability to take on more leadership roles. For instance, in recent times, the prevalent notion that women's social value is concentrated around the four walls of the home was developed by the excessive attention and glorification placed on the housewife and homemaker. in Hindi movies and television shows. This excessive reduction of women's social value have the potential to marginalize them. Now let's talk about one more example, that is called development and media, the global propaganda. By constructing discourses that ignore or marginalize the views of underprivileged populations, the media can contribute to political marginalization. The circulation of meaning may also be used to affect power relationship between various groups. One such instance is the overemphasis and the favorable connotation associated with the Western idea of development. Unfolding the potential is the biological metaphor from which the concept of development stems. Unfortunately, this biological metaphor or evolutionary idea has been twisted by President Harry S. Truman, who replaced the term economic progress with development. Later, W. W. Rostow extended this concept into a theory, which was then given a regulatory framework by Washington Consensus. Ignoring the overzeal of economic growth is difficult. However, under this paradigm, any person or group that disagrees with these development theories is either shunned or disregarded. One may classify them as anti-development. Genuine worries about the sustainability and inclusiveness of development initiative may be overshadowed by the stigma associated with the anti-development sentiment. Unfortunately, the mainstream media have been a victim to such global propaganda. They portray a very biased perception of individuals opposing development and land acquisition schemes. Here, media modifies the balance of power between the rural, indigenous, and the tribal community and the broader community at large. Now let's talk about cultural appropriation. Credit claims is a contentious topic on internet platforms. The greatest and most well-known example is of the 14-year-old African girl hailing from the suburban area named Jalaiya. Jalaiya enacted a self-choreographed dance performance on the rapper K-Camp song Lottery. She said her choreography video on September 25, 2019 to her 1700 and 20,000 followers on the social media called FunnyMat and Instagram respectively. However, a user going by the handle @global.jones imitated her dance moves in October 2019 and the video became viral. Many TikTok influencers began to imitate and follow the trend. However, nobody offered Jalaiya any credit. As a result, she launched a campaign claiming credit for her dance choreography. Initially, she was ridiculed and ignored. However, it's important to understand that artists may have opportunities through these channels. Profits are generated via viral media. Opportunities for professional choreography, brand promotion, and other things may also arise. According to Lawrence, there are instances where the cross-sharing of creative work through Instagram and YouTube is opaque and deprives authors of their credit. This is specifically true for song and dance content. Now we have reached to the end of this module. So let's discuss the conclusion, that is media and the public opinion. Othering operates at two levels. First, by the media, and second, of the media. Furthermore, the media in the global north or in the cities mostly defines and decides the significance of the issues at hand, marginalizing media perspective from the African and other South Asian countries. For example, issues related to climate and ecology or COVID-19. Hence, it's the responsibility of the local or regional media to function as an alternative for the prevailing mainstream media. Furthermore, the media can shape public opinion by its frames and agendas. It decides what is newsworthy, either explicitly or indirectly. Business, interest groups, and NGOs work to foster positive attitudes. The importance of public relations, advertising, and media outreach is therefore undeniable. Value preferences are triggered by mass media. Inclusivity, isolation, and empowerment can be facilitated both directly and indirectly. Thus, it becomes imperative to conduct a critical analysis of the pedagogy and methodology of media activities. Although the significance of media for democracy cannot be questioned, but what happens? Listen to me again. But what happens if it becomes dominated and loses its independence? And with this, we came to the end of the module. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new about media, marginality, and mainstream culture.